And then a couple of stories that I wanted to say, like to really highlight this idea, just being honest, impeccably honest in all the things, even if you think it's not going to show up anywhere. So, one of like a point that happened in my life of like, oh my gosh, this really does matter. When we lived in Kentucky, I was taking my son to gymnastics. He loved to flip and do the bars and, do all the things. And he was little. We were not trying to be anything big. It was just a reason for us to get out of the house and for him to run around in all the weather that Kentucky is like sweaty, hot, gross, or it's cold, sweaty, gross. And the gym was awesome. The coach was great. And for most of the time, it was private lessons because it wasn't a big group. The coach was, he was an interesting character. Sometimes he was amazing with kids. And sometimes you were like, well, why are you yelling at them? They didn't know that that was the instructions. So it was like, there was a thing with him. And I think a lot of parents had a problem, but he was so good and the gym was so amazing. And I think it was like $3 a lesson. Like it was stupid cheap. So David would get these private lessons or these small groups, and then we could hang out for like an hour after and just play. So it was a killer deal. So for a girl that was on a really tight budget, this was amazing. Anyway, so every now and again, we would get some families come in and they would stay for a little season and then they would leave. And one mom that came in, we had a lot in common. We went to the same church. Our kids were the same age. We were both homeschooling. There was just a lot that we had in common. So we kind of hit it off. There was some drama that she was dealing with. Her husband had some pretty severe brain damage from a motorcycle accident. And so they were trying to find work that he could do with his brain damage. He was capable of sorts, but he was not to his full self, and he would never be to his full self. And they also wanted to get back to the West because that's where her family was from. And they were homeschoolers. So it just happened to be at the same time, my dad needed somebody to come take over one of his businesses that he was running. And it was in the boonies in the West, like in the desert, in the boonies, very isolated. But it was a great, easy job. They could very easily homeschool. It was not a high mental capacity job. You just had to be there, be present. It was like light customer service. It was not, but you just had to be there manning the property. So it was honestly the perfect opportunity for them to match up. The income was great, homeschooling, all the things. It was like a perfect matchup. But when I was going to mention her to my dad to see if that was like a thing that he was interested in, that same day, the coach did something. I think he like called her kid out on misbehavior, and it was kind of a harsh way. And so she was really upset about that. And she didn't talk to him. She just didn't pay. The way we would pay is we would just leave the money in the window as we went out, because we could hang out for that playtime, and he would go do his thing. There was also a daycare upstairs, and he would just go do his thing. And she just decided not to pay. And there was something about that moment that just struck me as like, gosh, if you're going to be this dishonest when it's something trivial and not like handle the problem, I don't even want to suggest you to manage my dad's business. So those little things, they do matter. Be honest with how you feel. If it's a problem that you're willing to like not hold up your end of a bargain, that was the bargain. He coached, we got the gym, and we paid a certain amount. We knew what the deal was. And she didn't hold up her end of the deal because she was upset about something. So be honest in your feelings and handle the conflict. Go talk to him and say, I didn't like the way you did that, like whatever. Or you could look at it like I did and be like, gosh, everything else is such a good deal. $3. Holy moly. Like sometimes I snap at my kids too when they're doing stupid stuff. So, but there was just something about that, the way she was dishonest and all of those things, that I was like, I just don't even want to suggest that you manage my dad's business if you're going to get dishonest and weird in this trivial thing.